We're back from the apple orchard this morning. We were out and picking. It was a beautiful day for it, and I promised you a quick little video this weekend about how to make applesauce and how to make apple crisp. So simple, and the recipes for all of this are on Mishy'sKitchen.com, and there's a quick little recipe I put up today for applesauce and apple crisp. Comes together in no time flat, and the oven does all the work for you. So all the quantities and amounts are on the recipe online, but I just want to give you a quick walkthrough here. If you're cooking with apples, you want to make sure you have a good variety of apple for cooking. I like Empires or Cortlands are very good. I tried to get some red quartz today while I was at the orchard. They were recommended by the farmer, and they were listed for picking, but they were pretty picked over, so I think we were pretty much at the end of the season for them, so I didn't pick any of those up. But I did get some Cortlands, which are my absolute favorite apple for baking. They're nice, and they have a little bit of tartness, and they hold up their shape very well in the oven, so you don't end up with applesauce when you're making a pie or an apple crisp. They hold their shape a little better, but they will work for things like applesauce as well. So they're a good all-round apple. In the bowl here, I've got 4 or 5 apples, just depending on the size. You want enough to fill a nice 8-inch square pan. And you can see they're so easy to just peel them up. Just cut them off the core and cut them in chunks. It doesn't have to be fancy, just nice big chunks in there. We want nice pieces of apple when we put our apple crisp together. If you want to make applesauce, take all those apples, dump them in your crock pot, and on the website I've got a recipe for 12 apples, but really you can put as many apples as you can fit in your crock pot, fill it up. For 12 apples, use 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and there's some salt that goes in there as well. You don't have to sweeten it. You can sweeten it if you want, so sugar is by taste and preference. But I love my crock pot for applesauce. Love it, because you just throw the apples in there and your spices in there. You can even add a little nutmeg if you want. Set it and just leave it alone. Go back once in a while and give it a stir. As soon as it looks like applesauce, it's done. Taste it, make sure it tastes the way you want it to taste. And you can pack it in little individual servings that you can take with you for lunch, or you can pack it in bigger containers for your fridge. You can even freeze applesauce. It freezes really, really well. Put it into some Ziploc bags or into some freezer containers. Keeps for about 6 months in the freezer. Always make sure you put the date on that you made it, so you know how long it's been in there for. So applesauce, and that's why I threw applesauce into this cook along too, because so simple. It doesn't get any simpler than that. You're chopping the apples, putting them in your crock pot. My crock pot do work. Just make sure you don't have anything in there that you don't want to eat. You don't want skins, you don't want stems, you don't want the little wee bits of seed core. Sometimes you cut it and you get a little wee bit of that apple core in there. They get caught in your throat a little bit, and that's not good for little ones. So don't put anything in the bowl you don't want in your mouth. So apple crisp, we've got about 4 or 5 apples there, cut up nice and big. Into this bowl, we are going to add, this couldn't be any simpler, cinnamon, allspice, sugar. 2 tablespoons of sugar there. Give it a stir. Make sure all the apples are coated. You want nice flavor on everything. Now's the time you want to taste one of those apples. Make sure they taste the way you want them to taste. And I know these are delicious because I've been eating them all the way along. I only eat apples in September and October. So I've eaten some today. But this is when you want to taste it. Make sure it tastes the way you want it to. If it's a little flat, add a pinch of salt. Go double check. Perfect. Tastes like fall. I'm going to talk with my mouth full here a little bit. Tip all those apples into your pan. If you want to make this ahead and put it in the freezer, put it into foil pans And then you can cover it with foil and again, write on the date, what it is, the date you made it, and the cooking instructions, so that when it's time to cook it, you don't have to go searching for the time and temperature. Apples are in there. I'm gonna finish chewing this piece I got. What's next is we have to make our topping. And that is so simple. You can do it by hand if you want. I love my food mixer, my stand mixer, because it comes together in no time flat. In the bowl, I have brown sugar. I'm going to add oats, and you want large flake oats, rolled oats. You don't want quick cooking oats or minute oats. And those are basically oat dust, in my opinion, or they're kind of pre-cooked. So you want the whole rolled oats, and the reason for that is you're going to get the best texture out of them. You hear them go in the food bowl. You can hear them. You're going to get a great texture. Some all-purpose flour, more cinnamon, and this topping is great because it's perfect for apples with all that cinnamon and everything in there, but you can also use it for other kinds of fruit. You're going to use some salt here, half a teaspoon of salt. You can use this for berries or, peaches, anything like that, but it's really great for apples. Give it a little stir just to make sure that those dry ingredients are kind of incorporated together really well. Then we're going to add in our butter. And once we add in our butter, we're going to turn it on and we're going to let it go. And we want it to look like that, crumbly, clumpy topping that we want on our apple crisp. So, where did my spoon go? I always lose something in the kitchen. Sometimes it's my mind, most of the times it's just utensils. All right, so butter is in there, and we are going to turn it on and let it do its work. It comes together so fast, it just it's like a few seconds. That's just all it takes, it's just a minute or two. Perfect. There we go. That's all together. I could eat this with a spoon and nothing else. I don't even need the apples. I don't need to bake it. This is perfect. Look at that nice little coating there. It's got clumps and lumps, and the butter is mixed together with the flour and the oats. And you're gonna pile it high because there's lots of butter in there. It's gonna melt down and get all in amongst all those apples. Your oven should be preheated to 350 degrees. This goes in the oven for 45 minutes and it's done, cooked, ready to go. Couldn't be simpler. And like I say, you can use that topping for frozen peaches, blueberries, strawberries, rhubarb, mix your fruits together. This would be great with pears. You can add a little bit of, if you're doing with pears, it'd be nice to add a little bit of vanilla to your pears when you're mixing in your cinnamon and your sugar, just to give a little bit of a different flavor there. Always taste your fruit though, to make sure you've got enough seasoning on it before you put it in the pan. Different fruits are different sweetnesses. And that's it. Simple, easy, and ready to go. And you've got dessert in, that took us less than 5 minutes to put together, 45 minutes in the oven. You've got dessert in under an hour. Enjoy your weekend. It's a beautiful fall day, and we'll see you soon.